Welcome to another episode of Learn Anatomy by Drawing. I'm Dr. Mark Braidwood, and in this lesson we're going to draw the lateral aspect of the bony pelvis. Right, let's get drawing some anatomy. So here's our reference, again dominated by this large wing-shaped bone here, which is the ilium, and here we have the acetabulum where the hip joins in, the obturator foramen there, and the pubic bone and the ischium. If you haven't already followed through or viewed my video on the anterior aspect of the hip, I recommend you do that. To cover the lateral aspect of the hip, I'm going to show you how to just conceive of it in a simple way that will allow you to draw it easily from your memory. This really is like a figure eight shape. Okay, so we're going to draw it like that, and I'll show you how to. And move that out of the way. Start by drawing a box that is 14 wide. Now it doesn't absolutely have to be 14 if you don't have the space, but it is about sort of one unit wide to 1.4 long. So 14 by 19 is here. And again, it doesn't matter if it's exact. People have different size pelvises and different dimensions. So it's an important point that we are drawing, while we have a reference and we're referring to that reference to help us learn the anatomy, we are drawing a pelvis, not necessarily the pelvis that we see in the reference. So if it doesn't look exactly the same, don't worry about it. You'll still learn the anatomy and be able to identify it in an exam and integrate it into your clinical practice. So we need to find the middle of this box. How do we do that? We draw diagonals, and where they intersect is the middle. I recommend you use a ruler, but this could be rough just because they're quite long lines and it's hard to draw them straight. Now, drew these very lightly because we're going to draw over the top of them, and our figure eight needs to be quite light too. All right, let's just put in our anatomical rows there. This is now the lateral aspect on the reference. This side is anterior, this side is posterior, and we're still superior and inferior. Okay, so here's the acetabulum. It's a circle there, and it is just touching the midway point and coming over here. So it's about, so just draw a circle. I'm ghosting it in there for you. That's the acetabulum there. And then we're going to pop in the obturator foramen, which is just here. Now, on this reference, it's a little bit open for my taste. Usually it's a little bit more closed. You may remember from my previous video, you can sort of make a pelvis like this. Well, we're looking at this like this. So that obturator foramen, even though this is sits a bit posterior to that, you're kind of closing that up. So we'll draw that. It's quite close to there. If we look at that reference there, it really does sort of do that. Okay. All right, so let's start our figure eight. It's going to be, we'll just take our time. We'll remove that rule, we don't need it anymore. So this starts about there. So just put your pencil there and goes up to less than halfway down here. So we just do that, come all the way up to the top here, and come down and finish higher than there. Okay. Bring that down, out about there, down up to here, and back up. All right, hopefully you drew lightly. I'm drawing a little bit darker so that you can see it, but we are now going to tidy this up, okay? So starting in this section here, it does come across a little bit, so let's do that. Let's put that in. We'll drop that down there like that and come up to there. That's pretty much right. This comes in a little bit here. This is where we're looking at here. And we want this little bump here because we're going to label that bump, and then we come like that. Follows down closely to the acetabulum there, probably a little bit closer than I've got there, but that's okay. And then this comes out like this, and there's a bump here, which is some important muscular attachment sites. So let's capture that bump and then bring that down like this. And then there's another bump that I want to draw your attention to, which is this, oops, the spine of the ischium here. Lost my pen for some reason. So bring this up like this, and there we have it. And then this comes down a little bit like that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. You can see it's got this nice figure of 8 shape. Okay, let's do another one because I want to show you how to just do this quickly, and we're going to show you this is made up of a fusion of 3 bones. We'll come and label these in a moment. So let's just sketch roughly. This is the sort of doodle that you can do in your spare time. Just get a rectangle roughly that shape that we had. Oops, doesn't have to be too right. Just get rid of that line. And down the middle here. Alright, do this. I've got that bit's easy. Come across, down and up. Put in our acetabulum. Okay, and our... Alright, what I want you to do is get 3 different coloured pens. And we're going to ink this in. It doesn't matter what colour you do. Let's pop in this. Comes down to about there. And then draw that across like that. And label that as the ilium. Okay, and then my next colour comes through the acetabulum like this. And then just ink those parts in like that. And label that as the ischium. And lastly, this part here. Which is the pubis. So you may get that on your exam, but it shows you that the fusion of the 3 bones occurs about there. All right, let's ink this in, and then we'll come back and label it. All right, let's label this. This is the obturator foramen, which you'll be familiar with if you've watched the anterior video. A little bit more closed, as we mentioned. This here is an important structure. It's called the ischial spine. We don't really see that on the anterior view. You can on some references. You mostly see it because it actually intrudes into the pelvis. So you will mostly see it looking down in here. You'll see it coming in laterally. And it's important in obstetrics because when the fetus is passing through the pelvis, the obstetricians use where it is in relation to the spines to chart its progress. It's negative or positive. So it's used in obstetrics. Okay, as you know, this is the acetabulum. You'll remember from the other video that this is the ASIS, or the anterior superior iliac spine, and you can feel that on just on your belt line, on the lateral aspect of your trunk. And there's also if there's a superior, you might ask, is there an inferior? And there it is. That is the anterior, inferior. Iliac spine. And there's a posterior. Now this is where you see those dimples. In some people you see dimples at their back there, where the fascia is tethered. And it is the posterior superior iliac spine. Well, that's how to draw the lateral bony pelvis. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to practice with a quick draw or from your own memory, and to check out our other videos.